everyone, welcome to Coach on Command. My name is Arron Littleton, and I'm the head coach of the Gymnastics Sports Center Storm, two-time AGA champion, and your host for this hour of excitement and wonder. So I've got some of my established and, esteemed colleagues. Esteemed. I got some esteemed colleagues here with me. And we're going to go down the panel and let them introduce themselves, and we'll get the show on the road.
I'm Coach Kaegan, and it's kind of off-putting that Arron's dressed as the Texas flag.
Well, you know what? At least nobody ever asked me if I was from Oklahoma.
I'm Coach Tracy, and I'm definitely failing this intro.
We talked a few weeks ago about how your life changes when you become all of a sudden the person who is actually in charge of the class. When you're the person who actually runs it, is responsible for the things that go on. You'll find yourself with so many responsibilities that you didn't even know existed. And, one of those is game planning, lesson planning, making up the workout. And, before this point, you probably just thought that the magical gym elves that we're always talking about just place the workout on the head coach's desk every night. But guess what? Now you're figuring out that it is work. It is work to run a class and to be the one who's responsible for the content of that class, and also RIP to your free time, because it can take a lot of time investment and energy from you to have a vision for what you want your class to be. So tonight we're going to help you out. We are going to talk about game planning. We're going to give you some tips for how you can avoid turning your program into a raging inferno encapsulated within a dumpster. First question is, what is your mindset or your objective that you're trying to accomplish when it comes to making your lesson plan, Kaegan?
I'm still choking. I'm sorry.
Listen, you've been choking for 12 episodes. I don't know what to tell you.
Anyway, there's a lot of things that you have to do for lesson planning. One of the big things that Arron always says is work as efficiently as possible. Efficiently does not mean fast, though. Efficiently means getting work done. Get reps in, get as many in as possible, as fast as humanly possible, correctly. Conditioning in a lesson plan is very important. If you are not strong enough to do the skill, then the skill won't happen.
So I think of whenever it comes to deciding what the kids are going to be doing for the day, it really comes down to you have to know your kids for one and know what they need. Every kid's going to have strengths and weaknesses, and you need to be able to identify those per kids. And when trying to create a lesson for the day, you should focus on what the kids need to work on. And obviously, like I said, all the kids are different, so there is no one size fits all. But you kind of have to try to tailor your program to meet as many weaknesses as possible within one lesson, as much as you can. And in my opinion, especially in the parkour area, I like to always make sure that there's some variant of fun mixed in to the lesson. Kids got to have a little bit of fun. Helps keep morale up. Helps them stay focused when it's time to focus. If we can have fun when it's time to have fun, at least that's my thoughts on it.
I'm going to talk about this from the vantage point of being the head coach of a competitive program, because that's what I am and that's what I know. And, any sort of thing in which you've got like a season and, it kind of makes your year very cyclical. And what I mean by that is obviously you've got the season, and the season workouts have different needs than the off-season workouts. And so, for season, obviously, you're trying to really work routines heavily, and any of the elements that maybe you're trying to add, or maybe, hey, we're getting a 2/10 deduction on this turn, or we're getting, whatever. You've got to really kind of focus in on the details. The details super matter about the routines in the middle of season, and you're also trying to get ready not to be trash at competition, and that's probably your main focus. How can we, get a 10th here or a 10th there, and how can we kind of, max out our ability to score points. And then also you have the off-season workouts, conversely. And, off-season, I always say every year as soon as state is over, I'm like, you know what, we're in the off-season, hope springs eternal, because, what can we get done by next season when we got to go back to our routines and really, punching it in there. And so the off season, Hope Springs Eternal, you're working heavy upgrades, and you have this idea in your head for what you're really trying to accomplish by the time the next season rolls around. And, and so there's less focus, I think, generally on the actual routine because you don't have a routine. You're not in the middle of season. You may have a similar routine to the one that you had the season previous, but you're really working on the upgraded skills, and that can kind of make things a little bit more fun. You're not just in the grind. And so it really just depends on which one of those you're talking about. But I think as a general practice for any time, and I think Tracy kind of alluded to this a little bit, is I would say if you're trying to do the most catch-all thing that you can do, focus on whatever your most pressing need is. And so if you've got a skill and you've got a girl that's just getting, it's just getting beat to death on her dance, then, you should probably put some dance in your workout and make sure that you're actually working on the finer points of that. If you've got somebody who can't do a straight arm kip to save their life and they're losing 2/10 on each arm, you probably need to work on that, But yeah, the other thing that I'll say is try to balance the workout. And so obviously there's a bunch of different things that comprise what you need to work on, especially in gymnastics, especially when you're at the competition level, because you've got routines, and those routines have skills in them. They have dance elements. They've got, non-value parts of all kinds, and they've got all sorts of stuff, and you've got to work on all of that. So I would say, just really try to balance your workout between the skills, between the dance / the elements that you've got to put in here, whether they be upgraded or not. Form stations, I love form stations, and then also any targeted conditioning for whatever you're trying to accomplish. And so it really just depends on your goals, but I would say the number one thing is try to balance the workout. Don't don't be like, guess what we're doing? Arms. Guess what we're doing again? Arms. This station, arms. We're gonna show up looking like the duck from Toy Story. It's just like he's just a torso, like a ripped torso with arms, and that's it. He doesn't. Yeah, it's like we're not trying to look like that. You got to balance it out, and there's a lot of stuff that you're trying to accomplish, and so the more balanced your workout can be, probably the better you're getting at all areas. And so, conversely for that, we talked about the things that you're trying to do. Are there anything that you're trying to avoid with your workout? Any sort of pitfalls you might need the people to be aware of?
Chaos, discord, and distractions. They are the three biggest things that will kill a workout. And as distraction I wouldn't say the biggest things, 3 of the big things. And a distraction can be anything. If you sneeze wrong, it's going to destroy your entire workout. If you say one wrong word, it's going to destroy your workout. If you pick the wrong station, it's going to destroy your workout. You have to make sure that if things want what?
And so the thing, and so I just piggybacking on what you're saying, that to cut through this mild hyperbole that is happening. The thing that I think that you're getting at is that. So we've got girls, and most of our girls are teenage girls, and the number one thing they like to do is not gymnastics at all. That's maybe like the 15th favorite thing that they like to do, but number one is talk. Oh my goodness, they talk. And so I really have to keep an eye on them, and really keep an eye on them in between their workout. And so it will start off as innocently as possible. There'll be a girl over here working on her turns. There'll be another girl on the beam over there. There'll be another one on bars, and they're spread out, and they're working fairly good. And all that it takes is maybe not necessarily a sneeze, but what it takes is one of them to say one thing, and it can be as innocent as possible. And if I do not, that one thing starts a chain reaction that propels them all together. And so if I do not say, hey, get to work, then from the time that it takes them to finish that one sentence, it will take 30 seconds, and I will have 12 girls like this, talking and talking and talking, and nobody's working all the time. And so, yes, I understand what you're saying. If you give them an inch, they will take 500 miles.
Exactly.
Yeah, give them a crumb, they'll take your whole bakery. You got to really be careful. So, looking for things to avoid. As I mentioned earlier, I like to mix in an element of fun into all of my workouts. I think it's wise for the kids, at least in parkour, to be having a little bit of fun as they go about their workouts. But you got to be careful to draw the line somewhere. They should be allowed to have fun, I feel, but there is such a thing as too much fun, and as Kaegan alluded to, too much distractions from that, enhanced fun, let's call it. So sometimes you got to rein them in. All right, guys, we're going to have some fun, but we need to tailor it to after our work is complete. We need to work out. We need to focus on the things we need to focus on. Then we can have fun afterwards. We usually do some kind of game or something fun at the end of class, usually, but that's after the work. And if they're not doing the work properly, they know we're going to skip out on that and do conditioning instead. Another thing that I really try to avoid, I'm the coach. The students are the students. I'm not saying that I always know perfectly what every student needs, but in general, I would like to think that I'm more aware of what they need than they are. But sometimes they don't find that to be the case. They think, no, I need to work on this. Well, I'm sorry. As fun as backflips are, they're not as important as learning to safety roll properly. You kind of have to make sure that they aren't trying to take over your class and work on things that they want to work on. You got to keep them focused on what they need.
I completely agree. I think all that is good, good advice. The first thing goes back to what I just said about, the number one thing that one of the most things that I'm looking forward to avoiding is being unbalanced. Especially with your conditioning stations, I think that, unless you are intentionally trying to unbalance it, and now that may be the case, if you're like, okay, we've really got to work these squat-ons, we did that today, and, we're missing a lot of squat-ons for whatever reason, and so at the end, I'm like, listen, we're going to make 10 squat-ons, and, proper motivation, I'm like, if you can make 10 squat-ons, before you miss 3 squat-ons, I'll give you a freeze pop. And it's crazy. Freeze pops, I don't know, popsicles, whatever you call them.
It's like a cheat code.
I know. Well, the crazy thing is those things cost 7 cents at Walmart, or at least they did before inflation. And so it might be like $7 now. But and so those things are 7 cents, but they are, it's like Willy Wonka's golden ticket, man. If you're like, I'm going to give you some frozen sugar if you can do this, motivation level off the charts. And so intentionally sometimes you can unbalance your workout, but as a general rule, I say, I always try to, if I've got 3 conditioning stations, I always try to have one be upper body, core, lower body. So we're working the whole thing, we don't miss leg day around here. And so that's something that I would say. In general about unbalancing your workout, it's kind of a bad idea to put 3 or 4 intense arm stations when you're doing bars. It's like that's basically the only body part you use to do bars other than casting and all that. So unbalanced workouts not very good. The other thing is I try to avoid the just chuck it ideal. So close. But yeah, so the thing about just chucking it, I want a coach at most of the stations that they're doing important skills at, and to make sure that we're doing form and fixing stuff, and you got to have as many eyeballs on them as possible as you can get, because they just do whatever and they don't know what their body's doing, and they just very, very free form of what they're doing, and so you've got to kind of keep an eye on it. And so I try to avoid the pitfall of just being like, just go over there and work on your back hip circle, and then we're going to say a little prayer. we're going to say a little prayer and hope that this is not does not create any crazy hitches in our form. And then the last thing is I really try to avoid not being thoughtful and deliberate when I'm doing this. I try to, when I'm coming up with a game plan, I normally do it before the workout. I'm not just, and I've been in gyms and it almost like gives me hives, because I'm really like a planner, and I've been in gyms and I've been with coaches before where it's like, okay, time to do bar rotation. It's not even like stretching time or like 5 minutes. It's like time to do bar rotation. What are we going to do? And I'm just like, bro, like I'm going to get a rash. I don't, and I'm a planner. And so my advice to you is be thoughtful and deliberate in whatever you're doing. And so, because that is the best way to get the best results out of what you're trying to accomplish, is to be thoughtful. What do we need to work on? How am I going to work on that? What are the stations? What's the conditioning that is conducive to the progress I would like to see? And so if you can do that, if you can be thoughtful and deliberate and avoid not being those things and just chucking it all together, I think that you'll be on the road to doing some pretty awesome stuff. And last question tonight is, are there any other tips that we haven't covered? Creating good lesson plans is really kind of a long process to kind of master.
I would say that a good lesson plan has to be structured so that it is challenging but not overwhelming. And sometimes that can be a fine line to hit. Sometimes it's easy. It really just depends on how, I guess, closely skilled it depends on the skill gap between your kids. I like to build something that's challenging with a little bit of fun built in. Like I mentioned, we like to have fun, at least in the parkour side. I don't know about the gymnastics side. But another thing is you could have an excellent workout without everyone being wildly exhausted at the end. Sometimes focusing on technique doesn't require pushing to exhaustion. You can focus on things without absolutely wearing everyone out. And sometimes you just need to, condition, and absolutely wear them out. But I don't think necessarily that should be the goal of every exercise, every workout.
We know how much Tracy loves to condition. We have seen that borne out throughout this podcast.
Well, just saying, Jessica literally mops my sweat off the floor after I'm done working out.
Ew.
Brother,
You should have been an NBA player. Then you could have had the people to come out with the squeegees, and yeah, it would have been awesome. And so just a couple last tips from me. Number one, like I've said this whole time, balance the workout. Try to be as balanced as you can. That gives you a good chance to be successful. Give yourself the chance and the time to put it all together. And don't rush. And so by that I mean you've got to have good time management skills. And so for me, my favorite thing to do, and this was not my favorite thing to do until I became the owner. Mr. Cronin used to do this, and so I kind of stole it from him, but I've come to really enjoy it, and that is that, especially in the summer when it's super hot and it's going to be 400 degrees in here, I've got to come in and turn the air conditioners on at like 7:30, or it's going to be super hot. And so I usually take advantage of that time to game plan during that time. And so I like it. It's 8 a.m. I don't even turn like all the lights on in the gym, just the light to, do to be in the office. And so it's quiet. I have enough time to focus on what I'm doing and really think it out. And I think that's a key to, doing a good lesson plan. And also there are no distractions. The phone's normally not ringing at 7:30 in the morning. There aren't people popping in. Hey, we heard about gymnastics. We'd like to do something. There's not that going on. And so it's really kind of a time for you to just be alone with you and your thoughts and the paper, and you can just kind of write it down. And that's my third bullet is write it down. Don't just be like, I am Megamind and I will show up and I will dispense all of this knowledge that I have to you from my memory bank. Like that works for some people, but for me, I've got like a whole sheet that where I've drawn out the entire gym, and I'm like, okay, on floor we're gonna cross tumble here, and then there's a mat, and we're gonna do this, and it's like a whole schematic that I make, and that may not be your jam, but for me it really helps me kind of organize my thoughts in a way that I wouldn't be able to if I was just like, let me divine all of the things that I need to do today. And so just a thought, if you're having trouble keeping everything organized, just write it down. And then the other thing is kind of after your game planning and after you're seeing the results of what you're doing. And and that is constant evaluation. And so is this working? Is this not working? And now you can't be like, have we learned a back tuck in 6 tries? Like you can't do that. But over the course of like a month, a couple of months, you should be able to see what is working, what is not working. And so the things that are not working, you should be trying to pull them out and try something else. And there's a lot of plug and play. There's a lot of trial and error trying to figure out what is going to work. And maybe, hey, I like this drill. Well, hey, maybe I found a different drill. There's tons of drills. I mean, look at the internet. There's tons of drills for you to look at, and you may find a better drill. We'll just plug that in. Does that work better? Hey, yes. Or maybe it doesn't, and you find something else. But yeah, constant evaluation. I think that's the key to being successful as a game planner. And so we find ourselves at the randomly strong opinion of the day. We're going to rank 5 things one more time at least. I don't know. We haven't ran out of things to start ranking yet. So if y'all have stuff you would like to see us rank, then you can email us at
askcoc@yahoo.com.
There you go.
That's not a question, though. That's a statement.
And Kaegan's busy spitting water out his nose.
Again, we need a flashback.
And so yeah, we're gonna rank 5 more things, and those things are tennis ball, Doctor Who, folding chair, iPod, and Sharpies. And if this is a terrible one, you can thank Coach Jessica. She's the one who came up with them. So so next time you see her, tell her this was awful. I'm joking. It's gonna be fantastic. So who would like to go first?
Okay, first, the iPod wins. Sorry, it was such a revolutionary product. I never owned one because I was not very wealthy, and by the time I actually had my own money, the iPod was no longer the thing, right? Anyways, iPod, number 1, revolutionary product, really pushed forward music in your pocket, or at least the idea of that. Number 2, folding chairs. Your boy likes to relax. Kick up on a folding chair. Top tier. I love relaxation, okay? Number 3, tennis ball. I don't recall... I don't have a dog anymore, but I do recall a time when I did have a dog, and we would play fetch with a tennis ball all the time. Very fond memories. Loved it. Still love it today. Tennis ball wins. My wife plays tennis. She likes tennis. There you go. Got to have a tennis ball to play tennis. Number 4, Sharpies. A pencil works just fine. A pen works just fine. You don't usually need a Sharpie. Anyone who says they need a Sharpie, 90% of the time they're wrong. Okay? Teachers are wrong. Number 5, Doctor.
And it was Jews first, and now the teacher.
The Jews and the teachers.
You're just trashing everybody.
Okay. Number 5, Doctor Who. I'm sorry. Nope. Doesn't exist. Number 5, rank 5. I know who Doctor Who is, okay? Just to be clear, I know who Doctor Who is.
Yeah,
I've never really seen the show, but because of that, I'm not familiar, so it gets ranked low.
So my number 1 is Sharpies, believe it or not, and the reason is because I'm a grapher, and I've been a grapher my entire life. And for those of you who don't know what that is, since I was like 11 years old, I went out and tried to get autographs from mostly baseball players, but it originally started when the Dallas Cowboys had their training camp at Midwestern State University. My mom would take me out there, and so I'd bring like this piece of paper out there. I'm like, hey, you number whatever, will you sign this? And so I've been doing that all my life, and that's really what I do for fun in the summers when I'm not flipping children, as I go around to a bunch of baseball stadiums, and I get autographs. Yeah, and so Sharpies definitely have to be number 1, because if not, I would have to be getting autographs in my own blood, and that sounds much less fun. So
Says you.
So number 2 has to be the iPod. I agree with Tracy. And actually, I've got an iPod from I don't know, mid 2000s. And I've got one, and that's what we actually use to play the music in the gym. And so we use one all the time. And so because of that, Kaegan is cultured. He knows what an iPod is.
I owned one. I had one as a kid.
Oh, look at you.
It was one of the newer ones. It was one of the MP4s, but...
Sold his car for it.
That one's not going to get to context.
But yeah, and so everybody, and so I've got, like I said, the iPod plays the music in the gym, and the funny thing about it is it has to be perpetually on life support. It is always plugged up, or it will die within like 10 seconds. It's so old, but we love it, and so we use it, and the parents love to drag me every single day about, what is that, an iPod? I've never seen one before. Blah blah blah. And I'm just like, yes, it's an iPod. It plays all the music. So, yes, we keep it going around here. iPod love. And then it's funny because Tracy, my boy over there, he enjoys relaxation. It's funny when I heard the word folding chair, you can tell how warped I am because I didn't even think, it'd be nice to sit in this chair. No, I thought, if you smell what the Rock is cooking, and you... Rock bottom. That's what I thought about. WWE, man, Attitude Era, nothing like it. But yeah, so it didn't even cross my mind that you could possibly sit and relax in this chair. And then 4 is tennis ball. Because, I never really played tennis, but we occasionally play. What does that mean?
That was kind of savage. That was a 6.
Is that a fat joke? Is that what that's supposed to be?
6 out of 10 on the Richter scale.
But yeah, I've never played tennis, but my mom did play tennis, so I guess I have somebody who plays tennis too. But we used to use it to play wall ball, and so you can occasionally peg somebody with it, and so that has got to definitely bring it ahead of what is number 5, and I agree with Tracy, and that is Doctor Who, because number 1, I'm not a sheep. Number 2, Kaegan likes it, and so it is definitely number 5. There you go, top 5.
Doctor Who is number 1. I understand that it's not everybody's favorite thing, and it's because people cannot comprehend how good of a show it is.
I don't think people can follow the crazy storyline of 400 people being the same person.
It's 13.
I think you strengthened his argument.
Possibly. I'm not going to argue this. I'm right on this one. Number 2 has to be an iPod, and like I said earlier, I had one as a kid. 3 has to be a tennis ball, because tennis balls. 4, folding chairs, because sitting, and I'm broken and disabled. And 5 is Sharpies, because I agree with Tracy, they're useless. I think the last time I used a Sharpie was like 4th grade.
All right, so that'll about do it for us. I'm going to ignore Kaegan like I've spent the last 2 years
I was
doing.
going to say shocking. Has it really been 2 years?
It feels like 8 years.
And he still hasn't grown any hair on his chin.
So that's going to about do it for us. If you're enjoying this podcast, then please remember to like, comment, subscribe. We do have an email address. You can also ask us stuff if you have something specific that you want us to weigh in on. If you've got some questions or a problem that you're having with a specific gymnast that we haven't covered yet, we would be more than happy to take a look at that and give you our best advice. And Kaegan, what is our email?
You can email us at askcoc@yahoo.com.
So we thank you very much for hanging out with us. Please stay tuned for Mrs. Doubtfire 3 Electric Boogaloo.
And have a flippin' great day.
And don't forget to set. Take care.